Hey everybody, it's your man James, Mystical Treasures, back again with some more video action for you. Today's another one of those clipped videos that I do from past live streams. I found a little segment here I thought you might enjoy. In it, I talk about why, despite what some of the comic pros want to believe and say all the time, that it is truly the readers, aka the paying customers, who are their clients, no matter what they might say otherwise. Because as we're seeing in the current times, with all these companies who are going broke now and billions of dollars in debt and everything else, it seems that chickens have come home to roost. I just thought this was an interesting little bit from the past, since we're seeing all this going down right now, and I thought you guys would enjoy checking it out. So I hope you do. And I want to take a moment here and say thank you for joining me today. I hope you get something out of this, and please be sure to drop some likes down there if you like what you hear, as it always helps out the algorithms around this place. Also, if you got any comments, drop them down below, because I want to hear what folks have to say, especially on topics like this. So I want to hear your thoughts and ideas and insights. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, so you can help get those numbers up for me here. And if you have subscribed, please share out some links so others can come in and join and do the same as you there. So I want to thank you all for joining me today, and I hope you get something out of this, and I will talk to you soon with some more stuff very shortly. And until next time, take care. We're going to go through these again as quickly as I can. On the subject of the Gatoral crowd, again, another shot at Comicsgate, another shot at consumers. Good job. Continuing. So one of them telling Ron Mars earlier that it was stupid to think that the people who buy comics from their comic stores aren't his clients. But the thing is, they're not. Ron knows who his clients are. They're the people who give him assignments and contracts and checks and stuff. It's true that his clients publish work and sell it to the comic stores, and the comic stores sell it to the buying public. So there's a chain of money flowing upward to Ron. But that's not the client-contractor relationship. I mean, think about it. If I buy lots of Stephen King books, but I can't tell him what to write or what not to write, I'm not a client. I'm a reader. I watch Pixar movies, but I don't tell them what to do either. It's true Stan used to say that Marvel readers were the real editors, but here's a secret. He made that up. The readers didn't actually edit the books. Stan did. It was just promotion. Now, you see, again, he's making the same mistake they all are. Even after admitting to certain parts that are true, that the chain of money, it all goes to the consumer. They're the ones who make it all happen, because without their money, the publishers wouldn't publish. The shops wouldn't sell anything because there'd be nothing to sell, because the publisher wouldn't publish, and they wouldn't hire guys like Ron Mars or Kurt Busiek or Patrick Zircher or any of these guys. But yet, in spite of all that, he doesn't care. He wants to downplay the importance of the consumers, like as if they're irrelevant. Oh, your opinions don't mean nothing. Shut up. See, with his whole thing about Stan Lee did. You see, but did they? Did he? Because Stan may have been doing the technical work, but it was all, as he said, it's promotion. Yes, promotion. Stan Lee understood. We want readers to feel they matter. We want readers to feel that they're important. We want readers to feel that, we're listening to what they say they want. We're going to try to create the works they want to see. Because that's how we make money. And they're the ones with the money, not us. They weren't publishing all those comics back in the 50s and the 60s out of vanity. They wanted to make money. And, that seems to be, I guess, where the disconnect must be with guys like Ron Mars and Kurt Busiek and Patrick Zircher, is they don't seem to care if they make money in comics anymore. And again, that goes back to something, again, one of the people said, where like they're more focused. But, he is absolutely wrong in saying that, that the fans didn't dictate, because they did. When fans didn't like things, books didn't sell. And then they either, one, changed the direction of the stories in those books, or two, the books got canceled. So in a way, yeah, the consumers did have the ultimate say of editing. They decided whether a book could be published. They could even decide if sometimes if storylines were altered because, well, we don't want to lose any more money. We want it to make money. We better change up this story to a way that's more pleasing to the consumers. So, he's absolutely wrong in pretty much everything he says, outside of the fact of, how the money chain works. And he continues. There was one reader who wrote into the X-Men early on, told them they should change Iceman's name to Kid Cold because it was cooler. I know this happened because they printed the letter. And it is kind of cool, I'll agree. But he's not the real editor, and the real editor didn't make the change. Why not? Because that guy wasn't Stan's employer, and he wasn't Jack Kirby's client. He was a reader. He gets to choose what to buy, but he doesn't get to enforce his will on Marvel except as part of the audience's collective will as paying readers. That's not a client relationship. Actually, it kind of is. Because if you expect them to continue to support you financially, you need to give them what they want. Now, asking someone to change a character's name, is a small thing. I mean, I wouldn't think that someone would probably stop reading the X-Men if they're really enjoying the stories and the art just because they wouldn't change Iceman's name. But when you have readers telling you, stop injecting your far-left politics into this work, stop turning Captain America into a Nazi, stop turning, to stop getting rid of Tony Stark and replacing him with a black female teenager, stop replacing Thor with a woman and saying that's Thor now and she always was Thor and all this other crap. Stop doing these things and just tell good stories like you used to do. Tell us the stories like you used to, where you took these great characters and made them icons that we all love, that are world-renowned. Do these things. Yeah, I think you need to listen to people who say that stuff. I think that's exactly a client, relationship. Because without those people buying the work, you have nothing to work on. Whether you want to work on those characters, you want to destroy those characters in the work. It doesn't matter in the end, because if they're not buying, no one's publishing. That's the thing here. And now that the comic publishers are owned by giant corporations like Disney and AT&T, these are companies who care even less about the comics than the publishers do. The publishers may care because that's their job, because it's their business. These companies, to them, that's just one little corner in their giant conglomerate. And if you're not making money, if you're failing, if you're not bringing in the dollars and the viewership, you're out of here. They will easily drop you. I could easily see in the coming years AT&T dropping DC Comics and just farming out the publishing to some other smaller publisher. Because why go through the expense of producing all this stuff ourselves when we can just farm it out to some other guy? And guess what? It's a lot of people going to lose their jobs. A lot of editors will lose their jobs. A lot of assistant editors, all the people in the offices of DC Comics, and even some of the creators, because I guarantee you they will not be publishing nearly as many books as DC is currently publishing right now if they farm it out. They'll farm it out like the big icons. Yeah, there'll still be Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman and Justice League. Those books will still be around. Yes, they will. But guess what? Stuff like Birds of Prey, stuff like, The Huntress, stuff like, all these lesser books, these lesser titles that don't sell very well, they'll go away. And guess what? All those creators, they're now out of a job. So, yeah, I do think that, in fact, it is a client relationship when readers are telling you, stop insulting us, stop destroying the icons, stop writing these crappy stories filled with far-left politics that we don't care about, and go back to telling us great, entertaining stories of adventure and action and heroes and villains. That's what we want. You need to listen to those people because they're the ones with the purse strings. And just as good work can get them to open up those wallets, bad work will make it close them, as will insulting them. See, this is what you don't understand, Kurt. This is what none of you seem to understand anymore. You seem to think you're above all this, and you're not. You never were. Stan Lee understood this. You don't. And so then when he gets, of course, the prerequisite response to that nonsense, he goes, man, some people are really furious at being told they're not comic book freelancers' clients. It's like they think if they're not clients, they must be unimportant. But lots of people aren't clients and still manage to be important. The customer, the readers, the audience, we like these folks. Yeah, we like these folks. I think we've seen from all the posts I did from Ron Mars and that guy Mark and Patrick Zurcher. Yeah, we've seen how much you guys like the consumers, how much you like the audience. I think we've already established just how true that is. Continuing, we work hard to build an audience and to earn an audience to keep an audience coming back. That's important. Yes, it is, but you're not doing those things. You're denigrating the audience that you have surreptitiously to appeal to another demographic who themselves have not showed up. So you are throwing over the established audience that you don't want anymore for a new audience that isn't interested in what you're producing. Good job. Good job. Continuing. And if something's not for you specifically, if you're not a part of that audience, well, that's cool. Not everything is for every reader, but maybe you'll like the next thing better. Well, what if we like the thing that we had before you took it away and changed it and altered it and made it, unrecognizable? What about that? What about that, Kurt? Maybe we don't want something next, the next better thing. Maybe we just want that thing that we had because we like that, and we don't need you changing it into something it was never meant to be because of your politics or diversity or whatever excuse you want to use for why you do these crappy, shitty things to the icons that are universally loved. Maybe what about those people? Should they just get over it too? Just get over it. Is that how it works? And if they don't, you just insult them, drive them away? Is that how you build an audience? Is that how you keep an audience? Because that seems to be what you guys are doing. How's it working out for you? How are those sales numbers? What are those sales numbers showing you? Yeah, that's what I thought. Continuing. In the meantime, we'll do our best at what we're doing and try to win a large audience for it, even when that audience isn't you. Except you aren't winning that audience, are you? That's what the sales numbers show. You're not winning that new audience, that diverse crowd you're aiming for. They don't care about comics. They don't care. And the people who do care, you don't care about them. And now we are where we are. Continuing. And we'll have opinions because, hey, we do that. Twitter isn't stapled to the books. It's optional. Yes, except you're using Twitter and other social media sites to promote your work, to push it out there into the audience, to potential buyers and to current buyers. That's what you're doing. So actually, yes, it kind of is stapled to the books, just like your name in the credits, which again goes back to what I said before. You guys represent the industry. Whether you want that responsibility or not, it doesn't matter. It is yours. It is on you. And there is nothing you can say that will make it go away. You can deny it. You can refuse it. You can ignore it all you want. It will still be there. So maybe it's time to get your heads out of your asses, creators, and start accepting the fact that in the world of social media, if I can't be professional to people who will criticize the work, if I can't keep my politics from being mixed in with my business, maybe I shouldn't be on social media. Maybe that's what you need to start thinking about. Instead of saying, well, the fans are just all bigots and they need to shut the hell up unless they're going to kiss my ass. Because that's not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen. Continuing. I saw one guy who was so mad that people were saying he's not a client that he didn't know what a client is. He was under the impression that Ron Mars hired clients, not that clients hired Ron. If you don't know what a client is, guy, you're not losing out by not being one. Yeah, but you are losing out when you insult those people. You are losing out when you condescend to those people. You are losing out when you tell these people that, if this ain't for you, go away. Go away with your money, you effing Nazis. See, that's going to drive them away. And then you are losing. You are losing. They may be losing too because they're losing out on some comics they once enjoyed. But you're going to lose more in the end because you're going to be the one who will be unhireable because no one wants to buy your shit. Maybe you need to think about that. Maybe that should be part of the equation. What do you think, Kurt? So then since he got on the whole political side, he went in and doubled down on this. Spider-Man's ethos is, with great power comes great responsibility. Or metaphorically, that any level of power comes with concomitant responsibility. That's political, and it's baked right in. But you seem to be missing the be interesting part when you assume that. Any story with politics, when you assume that any story with politics built in is nothing but propaganda. That's nonsense. And in terms of Marvel feeling like the world outside your window plus super folks, it's a non sequitur. You know, because this is in response to a guy who said to him, the line between art and story versus propaganda and social education is really what's at question here. Should you, as an artist, use Spider-Man to socially educate people? Because that is solely and always operating as a propagandist, which is a pretty slippery slope. And that's exactly right. You know, that's exactly the problem in the modern superhero comics today, especially from the big guys. You know, Marvel, DC. They are injecting propaganda in, not telling stories, you know, of interest, of, you know, like as he himself said, you know, that are interesting or entertaining, but it's all about promoting a social view and, you know, propagandizing and socially re-educating people. You know, I remember there was a story, I can't remember the book it was in, but Spider-Man had fought some criminals who just happened to be Asians. And of course, he beat their ass because that's what the hero does to the criminals. But then later on, he was talking with Captain Marvel, and he's like, he's racked with this guilt of, oh my God, they're Asian, but I'm white, and I beat their ass. Does that make me racist? I mean, that is political propaganda. That's what that is. Spider-Man would never think that. His whole, like he said, his whole thing is with great power, there must also come great responsibility. That's his ethos. That's his motto. That's his reason for being. And so if these guys who just happen to be Asians are committing a crime and he can stop them, then it's his civic duty to stop them. And that's what he did. This was never a problem before. He's fought Asian villains before. He never had a problem beating their asses then. Only now is it a problem. Why? Because a guy like Kurt Busiek espouses to these progressive narratives that, you know, anything a white person says or does towards a person of color or a non-white is racist. So Spider-Man beating an Asian gang who are committing a crime is racist. This is the mentality. This is propaganda, guy. That's the problem people have with stuff like that. When you turn Captain America into a Nazi, you know, taking the most patriotic character to ever exist and say, well, no, he actually was secretly a Nazi the entire time he existed. You know, that's political propaganda. That's the problem. This Solly is right. You've crossed this is what you've done. You've crossed the line from art and story to propaganda and social re-education. And that's not what these heroes are meant to do. They were never meant for that. They were meant to entertain. You know, I'm not sure how many people out here know the history of comics, but they spun out of the 20s and 30s from the classic pulp novels. You know, the adventure novels of, like, you know, guys like Indiana Jones type characters, you know, where it was action, adventure, and romance and pathos. That's what it all came out of. It came out of those things, you know. And the superheroes, they said, well, we're just going to add a little more sci-fi to it, and we're going to have these everyman heroes who have secret identities and, you know, have some superpowers, and we're going to throw a little sci-fi mix in there. That's what they were. That was the whole point of their existence for decades, until, say, the last, I don't know, 5 to 10 years. And then all of a sudden it became, no, these characters now here to promote a social agenda, who are to re-educate people in the social realities of our modern era. And these characters are problematic because, well, Spider-Man's a white guy, and yet he beats up black criminals and Asian criminals. And so, but yet he's never shown to feel racist about that. So we got to inject that in now because that's the modern times. Never mind that that's a totally nonsensical viewpoint. You know, he's a superhero. Of course he fights the bad guys. He doesn't care what race. He didn't fight them because they were black or Asian. He fought them because they were criminals committing a crime. And that's what a superhero does. But, you know, this is the point, you know, and you know, be interesting, yes. And sadly, these modern progressive politics are not interesting. They are divisive, they are hurtful, they are destructive. And we see that in the work. So the more you push that progressive agenda in the work, the more you damage the characters, the more you damage the audience, the more you damage the industry. And it leads to you then believing you can just insult the consumer base however you want, and it doesn't matter because screw those Nazis. I don't want their money anyway. That's how we end up there. Instead of going, you know what? We need to be telling entertaining stories that can appeal to a mass audience. And if that means there's certain little sects, like, you know, some people in this little group or a little bit this little group over here who don't like it, who find it quote unquote problematic, well, you know, maybe we'll make some new books for them and they can have that. But we're going to keep these books what they were meant to be. These were meant to be mass media entertainment for the masses, for the largest possible audience. That's what the focus should be. Not on political correctness, not on wokeness, not on progressive politics, not on any of that nonsense. It needs to be about getting as many people to buy the product as you can. And you can't do that when you are injecting divisive politics into the books. And you can't do that when you go on social media and insult the consumers who have a problem with you injecting progressive politics into the books. You see, that's what's missing here, guys. That's the point of all of it. You know, all the other discussions I've had recently about all these other topics were all tangentially connected to this one core. You know, the consumer matters more than anybody because without them, you have nothing. You have stories you've written and drawn that no one will care about, that no one will buy, that no one will publish. That's what you end up with when you drive consumers away. And you're driving them away by being propagandists who are more concerned about pushing a social agenda and a progressive political view than in telling entertaining stories with these characters the way they have been made for decades. This is your problem, guys. This is what you need to get over. And if you can't do it, if you say I can't do that anymore, I can't write those types of stories anymore, that's cool. Walk away. Walk away from comics. Go do something else then, because obviously you don't have what it takes to do this. You certainly shouldn't be working on superheroes if nothing else. You know, you want to go produce some slice of life comic about your politics, go ahead. But I guarantee you it won't sell. It'll sell the way you're making these superhero comics sell, because no one's going to care. You need to get over this. But, you know, as the Blue Samurai here says it, yes, I find more prose to be sharply overreactive, more negative, and either of those more frequently than most fans. Additionally, I find certain prose to be more narrow-minded and less thoughtful than fans when considering ideas unrelated to creativity, if they even bother. And then our final one here from John Smith, replying to something Ron Marr said. No matter how condescending you are, if the fans don't buy, then the retailers don't buy, and the publishers won't hire you. Please the fans or lose your job. That's how it works. Comics are a dead medium anyway. DC will be the first to shut down if AT&T has anything to say. And there it is. Right here. This brings it all back to the core. Right here. You know, this is how you destroy an industry. This is how you lose an industry. You insult the consumer base to the point that they no longer want to be a part of that industry, and you need them. Believe me, you know, this is what you all need to learn, whether you're the publisher, whether you're the retailer, whether you're the artist, the writer, creator, doesn't matter where you are on the food chain. What you need to understand is you need the consumers way more than they will ever need you, because without them, you have nothing. If no one is buying your stuff, it's worthless. You know, I got a friend, my best friend. We talk sometimes, and we talk about life and the way of the world. And you know, we've all heard from people who say things like, you know, oh, you just got to be all you can be. You know, you got to get out there and you got to learn stuff, and you got to push yourself, and you got to be all you can be, and that's how you get ahead in life. And it's like, well, yeah, that matters, but not like you think. You know, because what matters is the lucky break, because you can have all the knowledge and all the experience and all the technical skill of something in the world, And if nobody is willing to give you a chance, if no one's willing to hire you to give you the shot to prove yourself, your be all you can be doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot, does it? It's worthless. It means nothing. It's just you learned all this stuff just for it to rot in your brain. You know, you need that lucky break. Someone has to be generous enough to say, I'm going to give you a chance. Show me what you can do with all that knowledge. And then after that, then be all you can be matters. Then it matters then, because now it's on you to push it forward. But that lucky break had to come first. Without that person doing that for you, you would have nothing. And it's the same thing here. You know, you could be the best creator ever. And if you drive away the audience to the point that they will not buy your work, no one's going to hire you because you're not a bankable name. You're not going to bring in sales. You're not going to move the product. And, you know, all your skill of being a great storyteller means nothing, because without the consumers, that's what you will end up with. Nothing.